Bankruptcy.
A stunning fall.
Major restructuring. Debt is piling up.
I see people talking about this Ryan Matta video, by the way. I want to be clear on this. We're sending him a cease and desist, and we will also probably be suing him because we never got paid a dime for talking about Costa. Just so everybody's clear on that. We never were paid a dime talking about Costa. I know Carl very well, and I like him, and I think it's eventually going to be successful. So you can't make up lies about people and get away with it. And there's people finding out that right now. Can't make up lies about this channel. I will not stand for it, just so people understand. And so really, what happens is you have these people, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. And that's exactly what that guy is. He's making up accusations for clicks. He's the worst kind of person, the lowest common denominator. So if he can provide proof, then that would be great. But he can't because it doesn't exist. So just so you guys know, I'm coming after that.
Real quick, last question. I think it might have came up. You were Hillary Clinton's CFO in the campaign, right?
It's part of my history.
Were you? Yes or no?
In 2016.
Did you facilitate the payment for the Steele dossier since you were CFO of the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir.
Sure. Yes or no?
Sir.
Yes or no?
That was not.
You're under oath, Chairman Gensler. Yes or no?
I know.
The collapse of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX is, even if you're not interested in cryptocurrency, a history-changing event. It may turn out to be the biggest single-day loss of assets in the history of money.
First, you were Clinton's finance director in 2016, Hillary Clinton's finance director. Second, you hired anti-Trump enforcement director Greenwald in July of 2021. Third, you brought in Ms. Barbero, who was the litigator on 2 House impeachment trials against Donald Trump. You have another enforcement counsel who is married to Peter Strzok. In November of 2021, Senator Warren urged you to investigate the SPAC merger involving Donald Trump's Truth Social company. And in December of 2021, just a few weeks later, you guys launched an investigation using a novel legal theory against the former president's social media company. That is some coincidence, isn't it, Mr. Gensler?
Senator, it is good to meet you in person.
Senator, it is good to meet you in person.
But I think you're not correct.
What was I not correct about there?
Billions of dollars evaporated in just moments, and it's still not clear what happened to a lot of that money. It just disappeared. And as it did, it sparked a growing financial crisis across entire sectors of the economy, a disaster that quite possibly could get worse very soon. But the story of the FTX implosion is bigger even than the global recession it may cause. It is the story of the complete and utter corruption of the people who run our country. The very people who should have been covering and regulating and reining in FTX and its 30-year-old founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, were instead profiting from the scam. Not just a few of them, nearly all of them. From the news media, paid off by Sam Bankman-Fried, to the leadership of the Democratic Party, also paid off by Sam Bankman-Fried, to the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC commissioner himself, Gary Gensler. They all knew that FTX was not a real company and that Sam Bankman-Fried was a fraud.
remember this. The only wrong exposure to Bitcoin is having 0% exposure, okay? Please remember that.
Bitcoin, you said you spoke at a conference, you bought it, you bought some of it for your kids last year. You more than doubled your money if you're still holding. Are you still holding? I mean, let's just have a little fun here to end the segment.
Yeah, I am. I'm still holding. My kids are very, very happy about it.
Yeah, what's Bitcoin's real role? There are members of Congress, both parties, I believe, that think it should be banned.
Yeah, I mean, they want it banned because they're being paid by BlackRock and Morgan and all the big globalist banking monopolies that are making money on inflation and making money by the Fed printing money. But American people, the American middle class, is getting rolled, and the off-ramp from that, from the money printing machine is Bitcoin. Because it is hard currency. And we need to make it transactionally available to the middle class. We need to make sure that people who want to protect themselves against inflation can have this, but also that they have transactional freedom. That the government is not, able now to digitalize our currencies and like they did in Canada. And when the truckers disobeyed, when the truckers protested peacefully, their bank accounts were shut down. And they couldn't pay their mortgages. They couldn't pay for their children's education. The government could control their speech by controlling their transactional freedom. And, transactional freedom is as important as freedom of speech. And you only get that from Bitcoin. We're not going to get that, as long as the government controls our digitalized currency.
This is the footwear of the central bankers of the world, okay? We live in a f***ing clown show, and your kids are going to suffer from it because of the idiots that are managing monetary policy globally. Why do I say that? Very simply, the debt spiral is unsustainable. It's only grade 11 mathematics, and it's like these retards, you're not supposed to say that, but I gotta call it out for the kids, have not done their grade 11 math, okay? Horrible but true. They're compromising our future.
You can actually control and own your money. You can actually have your money, right? How else are you gonna have it? In cash? And then you gotta deal with the inflation? How difficult is it to move serious cash? I had to send, it's about 4 years ago, I sent $900,000 to Qatar for a completely legal reason.
Why?
I wanted to buy a property. So I was involved in the purchasing of a property in Qatar. The backflips, the paperwork, the legal nightmare. I swear to God, I was put on a travel list because for about a year after that, I was stopped at every airport. Just for a bank transfer, right? No problem with Bitcoin, no problem. So it fixes a whole bunch of problems, cryptocurrencies. It certainly does. And I think a lot of people who are forward thinking and believe the things I believe in, it's the only logical conclusion. What else are you gonna do? Trust a bank? Will you trust them? There's nothing else to do with it. I'm actually at the point where, although I do own quite a lot of property, I don't want any more. And I keep getting offered nice property deals, and Tristan's like, should we buy this? It's like, no, I don't even trust the Romanian government or the Russian government. I have property in Moscow. I don't even trust the government anymore. I don't even want a property because if I piss the government off, they're just gonna take it. I don't own it. They say you own it until you annoy the government, then you don't own it, right? So I don't even want property anymore. I'm going full crazy Mr. Blockchain now because it's the only time I feel like I have control over things. And we're losing control at such a rapid rate. I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve. People saying, oh, I'll just buy a house and it's my little house. It's not your little house. You'll see how quickly they'll take your little house from you. Look what they've done so far. They've taken your business from you. Think they want to take your little house? People are not scared enough of the right things. They're scared of Corona. They should be scared of what the government did to them in the name of Corona. That's what they should be. But people aren't logical. People aren't logical. People have low IQs. They're slaves. And they're too busy, preoccupied with racism and all this other garbage to keep them split so they can't all get together for 5 seconds and start thinking, wait, this is bullshit. You remember the big Bitcoin crash, $5,400 at the beginning of this Corona thing? When it really, really tanked. Everyone saying it's over. All this crap. I put a tweet up that I still retweet to this day saying, you're all pussies. Bitcoin's coming back. I think I said, I'm buying $600,000 today and we can talk when it's at 8,000. So I turned 600 grand to like $12 million. Because I had cash in a bank, and when everything hit the fan, the first thing I thought was, I don't want cash. I want something else. Give me an asset. Okay, well, how can I get an asset that the government can't take? Bitcoin.
Let me explain something to you right now. Okay, here's a $10 bill. This is garbage. This is garbage. Your people in South Africa, you have your rand, right? That's going to zero. That's going to zero. This is going to zero too. Euros are going to zero. The yen's going to zero. The Chinese currency is going to zero. It's all going to zero against Bitcoin. If you don't understand that yet, you're going to be impoverished. You're going to be on the street. You're going to be begging. You're going to be out of business. You're going to be toast.
Max, do you know that it's a criminal offense to tear up?
Do you know that with the Bitcoin I have, I can buy any freaking senator or congressman I want? I make the laws. He who has the Bitcoin makes the laws, Rand. We're not going to just sit around and let the goddamn congressman tell us what to do. We've got the capital. We make the laws. We've got the Bitcoin. They don't. We got it. They don't. Do you understand?
You've pledged to block a potential central bank digital currency. Is that about surveillance?
It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. One day you don't have any money in your account. It can be a very dangerous thing.
We are now in a new era of wars, and unless we re-establish order fast, then we are doomed.
Yuval Noah Harari,
one of the brightest minds on planet Earth.
Historian, a best-selling author
of some of the most influential non-fiction books in the world today.
I think we are very near the end of our species because people often spend so much effort trying to gain something without understanding the consequences. For example, we will get to a life where you can live indefinitely, but realizing that you have a chance to live forever. But if there is an accident, you die, the people who will be in that situation will be at a level of anxiety and terror unlike anything that we know. Then you have artificial intelligence, and the world is not ready for it. It's the first technology in history that can make decisions by itself and take power away from us to hack human beings, manipulate our behavior, and making all these decisions for us or about us. Whether to give you a loan, whether to give you a mortgage, dating apps shaping your romantic life. But the real problem is that increasingly the humans at the top could be puppets when the most consequential decisions are made by algorithms. Global financial decisions, wars. This is extremely dangerous, but it's not inevitable. Humans can change it.
But with what's to come, are you optimistic about the future?
I'm very worried about two things.
Well, first of all, this is a dated slide, but look at your top left-hand corner. That's the total U.S. government debt. 30 trillion at the time of this slide. It's now over 31 trillion. But the relevant number is at the bottom right-hand side. $170 trillion of unfunded liabilities in the United States, one country. It will never be paid back. It is mathematically impossible to raise that amount of money. And every single government in the world has the same challenge, okay? $200 trillion combined of funded and unfunded debt the U.S. will never pay back. You need to protect against the debt spiral. It's as simple as this. The average coupon on the debt that they are paying right now is about 1.5%. Guess what the Fed is doing today and doing for the rest of the year for sure? Raising interest rates, effectively increasing the cost of their debt so that it is unsustainable. If the USA were a corporation where I spent my life trading junk bonds, it would be rated triple C. One notch away from bankruptcy. Now here's the crazy thing. The US is the best horse at the glue factory, okay? You guys in Europe are so screwed, it's not funny. I just can't say anything out of the way, okay? So grade 11 math, you will never pay back your debt.
So let's talk about Edward Snowden, because he predicts that some government is buying up Bitcoin on the sly as a replacement for monetary gold. Here was a prediction on X that he made this week. Prediction: a national government will be revealed this year to have been buying Bitcoin, the modern replacement for monetary gold, without having disclosed that fact publicly. Now, why is that a hot topic right now? Because Bitcoin is surging up to its all-time high of around $60,000 per Bitcoin after circling the drain for most of the pandemic. It seems to be back. So we're taking bets now on which country it is. Now, El Salvador President Nayib Bukele has been talking about the surge in Bitcoin this week and kind of taking a victory lap. Take a look at this. He says when Bitcoin's market price was low, they wrote literally thousands of articles about our supposed losses. Now that Bitcoin's market price is way up, if we were to sell, we would make over 40%, he says.
Profit.
Of profit, yeah. And our main source of Bitcoin is now our citizenship program. He says we won't sell, of course. And he says, remember this next time they spill lies about El Salvador. Look at what the Associated Press did with his CPAC attendance lately. They're saying he got a rock star welcome at CPAC. When U.S. investor Peter Schiff responded about this Bitcoin tweet, he says, you better talk about these profits after you sell and realize them. President Bukele says, just cry harder. So he's not having it. He's a bit, I want to say, kind of Trumpy, right? He doesn't suffer fools. He says what he thinks. He's a little bit rogue, right? Here he is at CPAC. I'm going to bring this back around to the Bitcoin bit, because not only does he say these things about cleaning up crime, but he says these things about U.S. financial systems. And watch him drop these truths, and then let's connect it to whether or not this means that the U.S. may be buying Bitcoin on the sly.
When I talk to my conservative friends right here, they always tell me that the problem is high taxes. But they're wrong. Of course, high taxes are extremely high here in the United States. I give you that. You're right in that. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is not the high taxes themselves, but the fact that they are not even really funding the government. Not even those high taxes, higher than a lot of places in the world, not even those taxes are really funding the government. So who's financing the government? Government is financed by treasury bonds, paper. And who buys the treasury bonds? Mostly the Fed. And how does the Fed buy them? By printing money. But what backing does the Fed have for that money being printed? The treasury bonds themselves. So basically, you finance the government by printing money out of thin air. Someone could ask, well, so if the government can print the limited amounts of money out of thin air, why did they collect taxes? I mean, in theory, it would make sense, right? If they can print unlimited amounts of money, why would they need taxes for it? The answer is simple, but it's very shocking. The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not. It's shocking, but it's true. The government is funded by money printing, paper backed with paper, a bubble that will inevitably burst. The situation is even worse than it seems, because if most Americans and the rest of the world were to become aware of this farce, confidence in your currency would be lost, the dollar would fall, and the Western civilization with it.
So that leads me to wonder, because we know that the US dollar has no foundation, whether or not Bitcoin is being bought up by the United States, as Snowden is talking about. And here's why. I explained this on Twitter yesterday, or X. I'd like it to present it to you now. Did you know that President Eisenhower campaigned with a promise to audit the US gold reserves ounce by ounce? The audit was said to be finished just 7 days after he was inaugurated, but it took them 4 months to publish the report, and it was super fishy. According to the government's own press release, it said all Treasury employees participating in the audit were assigned to activities other than those on which they are regularly employed. That's weird. Why would they not have experts counting the gold? And they never told us how much they actually counted, touched, and weighed. By some estimates, it was as low as 5% of the US stock. Now, experts say that at least 59% of the country's reserves flowed out of Fort Knox in the years since, and we have never been given a straight answer or an accounting. Why is that? And how did we get there? Now, a lot of this comes from this great book, Good as Gold, a fantastic book for a history of how the U.S. citizens were asked to give up their gold, how the United States gave themselves a big raise when they did that, and how then that they sort of pulled the rug out from under the U.S. dollar. I refer you to this. On April 5th, 1933, President Roosevelt, just 1 month in office, outlawed private ownership of all gold. Most in the hands of private hands was gold coins. He said the new decree was, in effect, a confiscation. Those who didn't comply were subject to as much as 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Now, those turning in gold were paid the official price of it, which was $20.66. But as soon as they turned it in, the government raised the price to $35, basically giving the government a raise. They had something that was worth $20, and then they said it's all of a sudden worth $35.
Money is a store of value, and there are multiple monies, and they're not created equal. So let me give you the world's worst money. The worst money in the world is like Argentine pesos or Venezuelan bolivars or Zimbabwe dollars or Nigerian naira. Weak money. The official inflation rate in Argentina is 105%. But that's the official rate, which is that understates it. The actual inflation rate would be higher. And if the inflation rate is running 100%, that means your money is losing half of its value every 12 months. That means that within 10 years, you have nothing, okay? So bad money, bad currency, or bad money loses all of its value over the course of a few years. In Venezuela, you lose all your value in 36 months. In Argentina, in 10 to 20 years, the Argentine peso was 1 to the dollar 21 years ago. If you had $1 million 21 years ago, the Argentine peso right now is about 480 to the dollar. So that's not a 99% loss. That's a 99.8% loss, right?
In how many years?
21 years. So what I'm saying is you don't have money if you have weak currencies.
Now is when you need to be panicking for money. Not when crypto was spiking and everyone was talking about it and every dummy was making money. Then it's too late. You need to be panicked now, make money now, stack your bags now. Stick to the basics, Ethereum, Bitcoin. The coins are not going to go anywhere. You should be panicked now to buy as much Bitcoin needs as possible so in 3 years you can guaranteed retire from life forever. You were panicking more to make money to buy crypto when crypto was reaching all-time highs than you are now when it's on sale. Think about how stupid that is. It's the same coins, the same infrastructure, the same ideals, the same technology. You need to buy now. So now is more important than ever for you to make money. Don't worry about crypto all-time highs and all that kind of crap. You need to make a bunch of money now, urgently, quickly, and start stacking a bag so when the all-time highs come again, you can sell out $25 million. The people who are not panicking to make money now to buy crypto that it's tanked don't understand the world, because those people were panicking to buy it when it was already at the top. That's when they really want to get more Bitcoin. Now it's down, they don't want to get it anymore. That is a big mistake. Now is your chance, ladies and gentlemen. I just said this inside the real world yesterday. I said it to all the students. You are making money at the most important time because the entire world is on sale. You need to make money now in the hard time.
That I felt drove a lot of interest in FTX. Sam Bankman-Fried is an American. His parents are American compliance lawyers. There were no other American large exchanges to invest in if you wanted to invest in. We knew, for example,
This sounds like groupthink. Did you know there was no CFO? So the money that you lost, was it all just the money that you were compensated for being a spokesperson for FTX? The 9.7, that was money they gave you, and then you lost. Did you lose any money of your own before you were how much? Before you were compensated?
Well, listen, at the end of the day,
but are you net down from your own net worth, or did you got the 15 million and you lost 9 of the 15 million?
Net down. I paid millions in taxes, and I hopefully can recoup those. I paid millions in fees to agents. Are you kidding?
All right.
This has not been a great experience.
But losing 15 million that he gave you to be the spokesperson is a little bit different than.
I listened to the interview that Andrew did with him at DealBook, and I thought, that guy's a crook and a liar. You listened to it and said you'd invest money with him again if it turns out there's nothing criminally wrong here. What did you hear that I didn't hear?
It may not fit for Sam Bankman-Fried because we don't know the outcome, what's going to occur.
Yeah, but all I can say is everything he said, I just didn't realize. You didn't realize there was an $8 billion hole. You didn't realize that there was these clients' funds that were being swapped over there. It's not his fault. That to me is like, man, that guy is bad news. That's not just you had bad luck. He was lying and manipulating.
You don't know.
There's only one of 3 reasons that anyone on this planet would ever be poor. You're either lazy, you're arrogant, or stupid. Now, we'll start with lazy. Most of you are lazy. In fact, I'd say basically all of you are lazy. You don't understand what work is. You don't understand what work ethic is. You don't understand the ethos of conquer Earth. You don't have fire blood. You don't wake up to go piss at 3:32 a.m. and go, I'm not going back to sleep because I want to make some fucking money. So you're all lazy. You're all arrogant. Because when I sit here as the richest person who's ever fucking wasted his time talking to your fucking dumbass and tells you what to do, you don't fucking listen to me. Oh, well, Tate, maybe he's wrong about you're broke. How can I be wrong when you're in the poor category and I'm in the rich category? I obviously know something you fucking don't, you arrogant dickhead. And the third and least common category is stupid. Most of you are not too stupid to become rich. I could show you how to do it. All you have to stop doing is being arrogant and lazy. So if you sit here and go, well, I'm none of those 3 things, yes, you fucking are, because you're not living the life I live. You are a brokey. If you were none of those 3 things, you'd be here with me in this room, wouldn't you? But you're not, because you are a fucking peon. So look at your bank balance, accept it's not as large as mine, and accept that one of those 3 attributes must apply to you. Find out which one it is and fucking change it.
You're leading this country to its destruction. We've already lost control of the world. The American empire's in free fall right now, and we're going to lose the US dollar. And when that happens, we're going to have real poverty here, like Great Depression level poverty.
The third indispensable element in building the new prosperity is closely related to creating new jobs and halting inflation. We must protect the position of the American dollar as a pillar of monetary stability around the world. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connolly to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
This guy was a major donor. According to the head of Citadel, defeating Donald Trump was literally on the balance sheet of FTX. Watch this.
FTX crosses into a zone that all of us are worried about. On the balance sheet of FTX is a line called Trump lose. And Sam was the second biggest donor to Democratic candidates.
I'm going to leave it to everybody else to draw their own conclusions about what you're saying here.
The other reporter says, we're out of time. We can't go too deeply into that. Really? Let's go more deeply into it. It's pretty interesting. So, of course, politicians love the guy because he was just a cash spigot, and that's what they want most. But where were the regulators? Because there is a government that's supposed to be independent of office holders, a regulatory state that keeps Ponzi's from happening. Where were they? Well, Sam Bankman-Fried was himself invited to Washington to consult on crypto regulations. And then he posed for a picture with Maxine Waters, who's the head financial regulator in the Congress. And then the Washington Post, which is the hometown newspaper of government, did no reporting on his actual business. They just wrote a puff piece about how cool is it that the guy with funky hair who can't sit still and sleeps on a beanbag is getting super rich.
What is up, Rumble? Welcome back to the Ryan Matta Show. I'm your host, Ryan Matta. We got a background music that's just a little bit loud for us. There we go. We're going to kick things off. We got a great show for you planned today. We got a new project that just launched over on Kadena. We're going to be talking about all things Kadena. We're going to be joined by my good friend, Amir. He's one of the most legendary devs on the Kadena blockchain, and I'm not just understating that. I mean, I've never heard anybody in the Kadena team, especially by the community, talked about as highly as this gentleman right here is talked about. So before I overtalk it, let me let you and introduce you to my good buddy, Amir. How you doing, Amir? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ryan. Doing good.
Good, man. It's an honor to have you back. Yeah, man. It's an honor to have you back. Congratulations on the launch of your new project, man. Let me just tell you, this might be the first project that I think ever launched on Kadena that went off without a hitch. And there was no big like rollout party. There was no pissed off community members. I think everybody's absolutely ecstatic. Everybody that I've talked to about it so far, I got a lot of people in our telegrams and that I communicate with inside the industry and the community, and man, they couldn't be more excited about your project. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it, and then maybe we'll pull it up on the screen here. We'll talk about it. I know there's a lot of things going on. We can go wherever you want to go with this, man. This is all about you today. So
yeah, so what's funny is like the whole premise was building a community project, right? And so when I released it, I didn't give anybody a heads up. I just deployed it, and people actually said, "Oh, look, it's on Echo now." And so as you're kind of going through that, it's kind of just fun to see. And the interesting test of that is our community active, right? Sometimes you wonder, right? Is it engaged, and is it excited for this? And I would say yes. I would say absolutely yes. I did say there were a couple issues, and we generally will work through those, right? And the issue that a couple of people, it seems like inevitably every time we launch something, some wallet isn't working like exactly on a computer, and then like 3 people have it, and then it starts working, or we make a quick change and it works. So it's worked out pretty good that way. I would say there was an issue, and that's why I was glad we were able to talk tonight. And it's one of those like tough ones, because I built this for the community. I didn't do pre-sales, didn't do any of that stuff, right? It's the second highest liquidity token and highest volume token on Echo the last day, which is cool because it just launched, right? And I'm sure that won't keep up forever, right? Because things taper off, but I've seen a lot still continue through this day. And so what was interesting was we have our bonding, which was to kind of help the liquidity pool, lock it in for a while, build that trust. It worked great, right? It kept everything healthy, it kept everything in balance. The problem where we kind of got bit a little bit was our staking program this morning did get drained. It doesn't hurt anything specifically, but they immediately turned and sold, and I can't tell if they intentionally did it or accidentally did it. But either way, it happened. And so I think it was 2% of the supply. I locked down our other contracts just as a precaution. I don't see anything wrong with them, and I've had people looking at them all day. But and I would assume they would have explained the bigger one, but definitely completely separate things. I don't see any reason to be concerned about that. And I do have other devs looking over it. So that's just like my disclaimer. I hate when this stuff happens. I try to help all these projects with this stuff, and then what happens, we turn around and it freaking happens to us. And so I turned around and said, okay, this is terrible. It's not the end of the world, but I do take this stuff seriously. So my whole day was committed to this. I brought in a bunch of people to look at things with me. And at the end of the day, I just went and market bought those 20 million back, which was 2% of the supply. So whoever's bonding, and I was explaining this in our Telegram in real time as quick as I could, get information out. And it sucks, man. It sucks having to deliver this news because everybody was so pumped. But community members stepped up. They got testing out there. They got as much data as they could to me, like you wouldn't believe. And some people even helped with just like managing the chat rooms. They just took it on and helped. And so like you think about like it sucked so bad because we've had so many problems in our community. The only thing I can do, the only thing I would ever do is say, we fucked up. I mean, it happens. I wish it didn't happen to us. I wish it didn't happen to anybody. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody, right? It's fun to find vulnerabilities. You get like this high, but like you don't do that to your own community. It's very strange to me. But you know, I'm not here to judge. I'm not happy about it. But at the end of the day, I'd say the response was we still have good volume. The price deviated a little bit because somebody basically just dumped, that bucket. But really haven't done anything. We didn't lose our liquidity pool. Nobody's rugging here. First thing I could do is just say, I'm looking into it. I see what's happening, and we'll lock everything down just as a precaution. And so we'll get some more info out about the bonding. And really the only thing with the bonding that's hurting right now is that we don't have the daily staking rewards. But I bought them. I shared the transaction. I shared my wallet. I'll put together some more Twitter posts. I just wanted to get a little bit more data. But the real-time updates were cool. And I know it's this is not why I wanted to talk about tonight. But I think it's just good to lay it out there. We didn't hide anything. We heard as much as anybody else. I have a lot of tokens in it. And so this is the last thing I wanted to do was bring a community project and then, let it take the sunshine away. Because today was supposed to be all about launching some of our new bot features. So that kind of got put back a little bit, but we'll get back on that tomorrow.
So tell me a little bit about this hack that happened. How did it happen? I didn't even hear about it. So this is the first time I'm actually hearing about it. You're like, oh, I got all this stuff to talk about, a crazy day today. Yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. Like I thought, right. No idea. Which is crazy because if this was any other project, my phone would have been blowing up instantly. Like so many people blowing me up saying like something got hacked. Hold on one second. My son left the door open.
Yeah.
So tell me, walk me through this process. What happened? They were able to get into somehow exploit the code. Can you walk us through what that vulnerability was? How did it happen? Tell us all about it, man.
Yes. So I can't actually say for certain that they meant to do this. I think they did mean to do this, but there was a gap in time which would allow somebody to basically have nothing staked and then claim the staking pool. Which is an interesting bug that we found out after we saw that, and just kind of worked through that process. And once the funds were out, there was really nothing more to do with our contract. So it was more about immediately identifying if anything else was at risk. And our coin contract, the nice thing about our coin contract is it's the same as everybody else's. So I can't imagine if our actual like KDA contract would get hacked. Ours would not be hacked before theirs. And so I'm not concerned about that. I feel really good about that. And our bonding contract is pretty airtight too. And I'm going to have a couple other devs look that over. And so that was actually more than anything, that was the focus, was protecting what I know was there. And that was the bigger attack anyways. But yeah, there's a calculation, and it's not supposed to let you release funds up until I think 24 hours is the first time you can release. And then it goes for 12 months. Somewhere in there, you can release, apparently, you could release the funds with a zero balance. And because we had a function in there that allows you to basically extract dust, essentially, so like you don't leave your account with like 0.000001, that unfortunately allowed somebody to bypass one of the other controls, and it allowed them to gain access to the transfer guard. That's the like easiest way I can explain it. I don't know for a fact. I could tell it's a community member. I don't know who it is. I would think that they would say something if they're like walked into a huge pot of gold. But I mean, it's unfortunate because I could tell it's an active wallet that's been doing stuff in our community, and it's like you hate to see that, and I hate to see it for anybody. So I guess it was finally our turn, and that was kind of like the morning, and it was all eyes on our bonding just to make sure that was good, and that's been my focus. And so we've been kind of picking apart. There's a couple things that there was a couple places where it looked like they might have been able to do this, but I still think it could have been. It's either somebody who knows, really knows fact, like really knows it, and can spot something like that, or they just got really lucky with the timing, came into a lot of tokens and were like, cool, I'm going to go cash these out. So I'm not going to make an accusation until I fully know, but I think we will figure out. I think at some point we will figure out who this was.
I'm sure.
What that means, I'm not a vengeful person. So like, I'm just disappointed, and I'm disappointed in myself. I blame nobody but myself. I don't care who worked on this. I don't care anything like we just try everything to not have this happen. And it's unfortunate that we continue to see these happen. And it's a good reminder that it can happen to any of us.
So what was the end up like? You said you went and bought out of your own pocket, which just blows my mind because any other crypto project wouldn't have did that. They would have let the rug happen and the project would have been over, and they would have walked away and went and created something else, and then really literally rebranded and chilled something else and started from scratch. So, it takes a big man to bite that bullet. How much was stolen, and what did that cost?
I think it was about, at the time, it was about 6,000 KDA worth. So I just went and market bought 6,000 KDA and put it back in the, it's in one of my wallets. And the thing I didn't want to do was, and people did offer to like help on this, and I think that's tremendous, but they didn't mess it up, right? That's not their responsibility. If we're going to have these things, we need to be accountable for them. And sometimes that means owning up to this stuff. And so that's the best I can do. It sucks. It just sucks. I think it's just an overall, there's so much excitement and it dimmed by that. But you know what, honestly, most of the people, I'll tell you right now, most of the people, I'm not dismissing it, probably more than a lot. We're still comfortable. I know a lot of people were buying when this was happening. They're like, whatever, it's going to be fine. They asked me, like, is the contract good? And I'm like, contract's fine. And so they just, they go out there and they want to support. And that's tremendous. That showed, it at least showed other projects that the chain is lively again. I have other projects that are talking to me about, hey, we see that this is coming. Like, can we do something like this too? And I would say, yes, but please don't use our staking contract right now. And I'm not being like funny about it. I'm going to zero that thing out so nobody can use it. And then we'll rebuild a new one and make sure it's a little less unruly, right? Because we have all this old code that probably was really good one day, and we just adapt it for what we need. And sometimes it's better, I guess, probably just better to start from scratch, just given how things change over time. But I don't know that they would have been avoidable one way or another. So.
Well, shit, man. I mean, it's so much shit. I mean, do you know how much worse this could have been if, this thing started booming and like everybody watched this show and you came on and we gassed it up and like, there's another, 20,000 KDA in that pool, man. I mean, or anything worse could have happened. Like, if that code would have got used in other projects or who knows, so it's not the end of the world, man. It's a speed bump at the very beginning of a project and you've obviously already fully recovered from it. So I'm, no sweat off my back, man. And you're being the bigger man. This doesn't really happen in crypto. If people are new to the channel, most projects will just take your money and just say, sorry, bro. They took 6,000. We're going to keep the other 100,000 we just raised or whatever. And sorry about your luck, Well,
we didn't raise anything. So there's nobody, hopefully nobody feels like slighted by this. I feel bad, right? I absolutely do. And the key thing is I like to tell everybody, like, this was meant to be like a fun community project. And it did that, it achieved it. Everybody was so, like yesterday was insane. I could not keep up. We could not keep up with everything going on. And I know people talking to you, right? Talking to other people, like just as an intermediary to like spider this information out. And that was so cool because I had people reach out to me that I didn't even know were still around. Like nobody did. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, well, we heard you were launching something and we want to come check it out. And I'm like, I didn't even announce this, right? It just kind of happened. So that was that caught a lot of people's attention. I mean, having a token that did no pre-sales, that did almost 200,000 in volume. I mean, that's not nothing. That's pretty significant for our chain for just a small little token, you know, that we're building for you. We're essentially building utility into it, and it's community utility, DAOs, and there's little games that are going to be on Telegram. There's minting through this thing, and it's going to just be fun. And you can use Aaron, you can use KDA. You'll be able to use things like I love the Wizza project. I love what Ron does and Ilario do over there. I've talked to Kish about using their token, and so I don't care if we're like competing tokens. None of us feel that way. It's like, how can we promote each other's projects? But it's really the community that we're promoting, right? So that's the key for me, is how can we like lift everybody up? It's been a really tough bear market. Let's have something fun and exciting and new. The burn stuff, man, it's really cool. And then I found out we gotta make a change on the DEX. So the cool thing about it was the burn was to like, everybody's been asking for it. So we tried it. It works on transfers, it works on a lot of things. But there's some rules I had to put in so that I didn't penalize people with cross chains and things like that. And unfortunately that creates a problem with the DEX liquidity. So I had to pause that for now. So it's just paused on the DEXs. It still burns. We've still been burning, which is cool, right? And I've got new events out there that we can track now. If anybody has an indexer, they can real-time track burning, right? So I'll be able to track. I was going to do 4 hours and 24 hours on Twitter. So this is like some cool stuff that we just don't have around here that like Ethereum's had forever, right? SafeMoon was really popular with all this stuff, and I'm not trying to emulate SafeMoon even a little bit, but they had some cool ideas, right? And they had a cool community, even though they scammed everybody. But like, it was cool, and let's take some of that cool and like put it into our community. And so the idea is we'll be able to work with the DEXs. I'm hoping that we can do this sooner than later, right? But it's a big ask, right? And so if we can sit down with KDS, with Echo, and a couple of us from the community, I think we could put something together that's like a standard. So if you want to do fees in your contract, if you want to do burn in your contract, we'll be able to do that as a result of this. But we had to push it. We had to try. We couldn't. What I keep hearing is we don't have this. We don't have this. We don't have this. So I said, okay, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And we found it worked really well. And then we found a condition where it kind of creates a problem. And I didn't want people to have trouble selling, right? That was never the intent, and I didn't want that. So I think for now we'll take a breather. We'll work with the DEXs. We'll come up with a solution, and it'll be a framework for everybody, right? Because I don't want it just for our product. I want it for every project. So that's the goal.
Question: are you able to adjust the volume on your mic? It sounds like it's a little bit hot from time to time. I'm not sure if it's something you have the ability to do, or if it's on my end.
I'm hot micing you.
Little bit. I'm not sure. So it just sounds like sometimes it's crackling there if you maybe talk too loud. And I don't know if it's on my end or if it's not. It's no big deal. I can barely notice it. So
how's this? Is this any better?
Yeah, a lot better. There you go.
All right.
So
it's a different mic. We'll see if this works better.
Okay, cool. So walk me through this. Like, what are you building here? Tell us a little bit about this game, how it got started. What are the key aspects of it? What are we going to be able to do? The bonding part was kind of cool. That was so we basically put up our KDA, and then in exchange, 6 months from now, we are going to get X amount of hero token or Huron token. And then that gave you guys the 100,000 KDA. So you guys actually have a major liquidity pool over on the deck. So there's not as much slippage, which is super smart. I know there's another meme coin, the MAGA meme coin launched today. And I went to just grab a little bit of it just because I'm pro-Trump and anything MAGA on KDA. I can't pass it up, and I can't pass up the opportunity to piss off some blue-haired liberals. But I went to swap it, and it was like I was just trying to swap $50, and it was. I know $50. I think it was like 2% slippage, and then I went to do like 100 or something, and it jumped up to like 8 or 7% or something crazy like that. And I was like, and then I looked and it goes, oh, they have no liquidity. But your project didn't have that issue at all. So can you tell us a little bit about what was the bonding process? What was the idea behind that? Was that just to raise liquidity and then incentivize people to? I mean, you took $100,000 out of Cadena circulating supply. I mean. In less than a day. And I was just thinking, man, imagine if we had, 100 or 200 projects over on Cadena that were, building these liquidity pools and doing incentives to take that Cadena out of supply, and instantly Cadena shot up almost to $2 the second your product pretty much launched. And I was just like, gosh damn it, we need 10 more of these.
That's the thing is like, I don't think we need a bunch of tokens to have tokens, but I think it's okay to play around with these and have fun with it. And that's the, like, don't go spend all your money on it, but like have some fun with this, right? That's the whole purpose of this. If we're not having fun, we're just miserable. And yeah, so the idea behind the bonding was, I know Cadena's doing bonding, and I think this showed them too, like, this could be like a home run for them. And I know this, right? And I think we all know this. People want to do something with their KDA. They're so desperate to do something that any amount of like legit staking and stuff like that, they will jump all over. I mean, I wish I could give it to, I wish I could do more and certainly have like our contracts properly audited, right? So we don't catch these little things when we're dealing with people's money movement. A lot of the contracts that are on chain aren't necessarily that critical, but like these things are, and they're important and they take time. But yeah, the conversation was, I had debated if we were going to go with K-Swap or Echo, and it was nothing against their team. It was just I talk with Echo a lot, and I talk with their team a lot, and that's where a lot of the liquidity sits. And so I made a decision, which was if we're going to launch, that's where it makes the most sense. And so I actually was going to launch this with just a 20,000 KDA pool. I was just going to put up the 20,000 and call it a day. And that would have been fine, I think. We had a couple conversations, and some of the folks at Echo had just said, man, look, we think you're just going to get hammered. You're just going to have too many people hitting it, and you're going to get hammered. And so they had recommended basically nothing less than 100,000 as a sale to get money in. And I took it just a different way. And I said, okay, I'll do the 100,000. I think it's a good idea, but I don't want a sale. I just want people to be able to get their money back when it's done. And so that was kind of how that came up. And everybody who's in that pool gets the benefit of whatever fees, which I think are like 26% APR right now on this, because there's just so much volume. They're going to get those fees when they cash out, whether it's at 6 months or whether it's at 12 months. And so the staking, the cool thing and the bad thing about that is the staking was supposed to start today, and it's basically broken up 12-month staking period. And it tallies up per day. So I'm quickly going to come up with a solution so that we can get that back on track here, not too long, but safely. I don't want to rush that one. I definitely don't want to rush that one. But that was kind of the incentive, was like, hey man, we're going to burn some. We're going to test this out. We're going to have ways that you can spend it. The game, I'll talk about that in a second. The game is a way you can spend it. And then we came up with some creative ideas to help the price by charging, not just charging Heron, but charging KDA, charging other tokens, charging Wizza, charging Kish. And then what we can do is sometimes we charge KDA and we pay out where these treasuries have this large bundle, or we just go to the DEX and we buy, you give us KDA and we'll actually go swap it, which will help stabilize the price. It'll help the pools. So I was trying to come up with some ways to just kind of help all of our projects, and they've come up with great ideas too. And I think some of them are going to be home runs, and they're all community focused, and that's the cool part.
Yeah, man. Anybody that's listening, I mean, that's all these projects are, man. They're literally scratch off tickets. They're just for you to have a good time and interact with the blockchain and learn how to use it and learn how to trade things. It's not something you put your life savings in, And I keep trying to hammer that home because I got a lot of new people that are watching for the first time and think that, like, because we're talking about a project, it's gonna, 1000x, and they should go dump thousands of dollars into it. But that's not what it's about. Like you said, it's just about having fun, and being part of a community. And it's pretty cool, man. I'm very excited to see what you build. I know everybody's like, just keep building, man. Like, build us more stuff. So I'm very excited. So tell us a little bit about, talk about a little bit about the code. So I want to know more about, like, how are they, like, the exploits, the smart contracts, like what what hiccups are you running into? I'm really into the tech side of things.
I think I had just found, it's crazy. I had just found an issue similar in another contract, and that was provided privately. And that's obviously the way we prefer to handle things, right? Even if you don't like a project, it's cool to give them a heads up, just a general courtesy. As far as how they did it, it was a simple, we expected a value, we expected time, and then they put a value in that allowed them to kind of bypass that. And again, it could have just been that they picked the perfect time on Earth to do it, or they knew exactly what they were doing. I can't, like I said, I can't say exactly, but it was this. I'm not saying it was simple. It was obviously not simple. Not everybody's going to go in there and do that. But it was a simple line of code that caused it. And that's the problem with, it's always been the problem in smart contracts is you can do 99.9% right and 1% can bite you so hard. And it's not an excuse. We all have to do better. We all have to. We just hope that when this happens, it doesn't impact what project we're working on. And it did a little bit. We're pretty much back to where we were. But yeah, that was the gist of it was where I was expecting a different value, they were able to put in 0.0. And I think it was our dust collector that allowed them to basically just say, oh, okay, well, we can just send it all to you then, because that's what's in here. I think if it had gone a couple more hours or maybe like even an hour or two, people would have started collecting rewards, and I don't think it would have worked. I would have passed that threshold where they could have executed this. So I could be wrong. We're going to continue testing this backwards and forwards until we're fully sure. But yeah, I do think it's potential that if it happened a couple hours later, they would have been out of luck, which is unfortunate.
So did you have to lock the liquidity that's over on the DEX right now so nobody can buy or swap right now? Or is that still an option?
No, you can buy and swap. What I did was I went into the bonding contract and I disabled the ability to claim. If anybody wants to claim, I can help them with that. That's not a problem. The point is to make this safe and secure before anything else, right? Because this is money we're talking about. I'm not letting people lose their money because they're unhappy. Be unhappy with me. Challenge me. I'm okay with that. I don't think you should be nice to anybody. It's your money, right? You could be kind, but you don't have to be nice to me. And a lot of people will be nice, but I just can say that I locked the contract as soon as I could because I didn't know. I didn't have time to say, is this vulnerable or not? I'm always going to chance it, right? And I certainly will, once we're comfortable and once other devs have had a chance to fully test this thing, probably be in a week or two, I'll feel comfortable turning that back on. But for now, I'm going to put out more. I'm going to keep putting out stuff on this. I'll start getting on Twitter and have the community pump this out. We can manually help people claim if they want to get out. And I have no problem with that. I just don't want, I don't want to put the big pool at risk because that's a lot of money in there now, especially right now, right? I think it was 170,000 USD. I think it's worth 550 right now. So, I mean, that's not nothing, right? The whole pool is not nothing. And so I think it's in my best interest to protect that as much as I can. And
We're not, it's not like I'm in a hurry to use my, my KDA, which is growing dust in that wallet anyway. So I was like, I couldn't wait to put it somewhere that it was going to, generate some type of passive income. I thought it was really cool that you're like, oh yeah, here, stake your KDA, leave it here for 6 months. And then you literally get it all back. Right. And you're unlocking. I mean, it was just really cool, man. The way that you set that up, I was really impressed with it. As soon as I'm like, okay, what am I going to, I'm giving this 600 KDA to get some other token. And he's like, no, you're going to get it all back. And I'm like, what? I just have to put it here. And I'm like, I'm not going to do anything else with it for 6 months anyways. And I'm going to get 2 million or whatever, however many I was going to get from that. I was like, wow, okay. It didn't take me very long. I mean, it was really, really super simple. I think I tried one time and I text Blue and was like, hey, I can't do this. And he's like, me either. And he's like, I'm texting Amir. And then, or I'm in his Telegram or something like that. He's working on it. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, it's good to go. And I was like, okay, cool. And I did it. And it was like it was really cool to see most time of these projects, we go, everybody's all hype about a launch. We go to launch and then the shit doesn't work. And then it's a week goes by and they're like, oh, it's back working now. And I'm like, oh, cool. Your shit was instantly back working. And I was like, okay, this is badass. When you have the dev that built the project and there's issues with it and he's fixing them in real time on the fly. I mean, we haven't had that at Kadena yet, and it's really nice to have that here, man. So you did a really great job. There was only 6,000 KDA in the bonding thing, correct? Or was there? How did he only get 600 or 6,000 KDA out of all of it?
So he didn't get any KDA. So I had taken 2% of the supply, and I created a staking pool for our bonding pool. So they're separate. They're 2 separate things. And so the bonding pool is actually another token, right? So it's traditional token. They're very well protected. And that's the bonding pool. And what you do is you put your KDA in and then it maps it. So it was 100 It was a 1-to-1. So if you put in 1 KDA, you got 1 bond token, essentially, which says you own 1% of the pool, right? So when we pay it back out, you get your 1%, whatever it's at, right? And so it's a fair distribution. And so just as you put it in, right, as you would expect. And so what we did was then we actually created a staking pool on another contract. And to feed that staking pool, I put 20 million Heron in there, which was supposed to distribute out over time. What they were able to do was pull that Heron out, and then they went to the DEX and immediately dumped it. So
they were able to pull their Heron out, which was 2 million, right? That's what they were able to. They were only able to access 2 million because that was their portion.
No, they pulled the staking pool out. They were able to bypass, and that was the problem. They were able to bypass it in the pool because it's so weird. But it was an if statement, and if it was at 0.0 at this time, they were able to do the other effect that they shouldn't have been able to have done, pick up the transfer cap, and they actually transferred everything that was in that staking pool, which was the 20 million Heron.
So like if I were to initiate that transaction, right, and it gives me the ability to withdraw, and they did it like give them a prompt that said max, or did like, I mean, it just seems like that unless it was something prompting on the screen and they realized that they could withdraw and it would have happened to anybody that would have tried to do it, it would almost lead you to believe that it had to have been somebody that understands what they're doing. I know I froze, so just give me a second.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I just can't prove that without a doubt yet, but I think it'll come. I have no doubt that they did this on purpose. I just have to prove it before I would ever, and I don't know who it is. And I had a very strange conversation this morning, right after it happened, when somebody messaged me out of the blue, which usually is like the person who did it. They're very anonymous and very cryptic and kind of like laughing at us. And it's like, okay. So maybe it was them, maybe it wasn't. I'm probably not going to lose sleep over that piece of it. But yeah, we're definitely a target, right? Everybody, I'm unknown in the community, so people are going to target that, and it is what it is. But the only thing we can do there is just be diligent, I guess, and keep people informed and try not to let people panic when there really wasn't a big reason to panic. I think the concern that people had was I rugging the project because a dev wallet, not a dev wallet, but one of the dev things got drained. So, and I totally get it. And that's why I immediately said, no. I see it's gone, but I'm going to look into it right now and we'll try to stop any other damage. So.
Wow, man. Well, it seems like you did a good job, man. It really does. I mean, 6,000 KDA could have been a lot. I mean, we've seen some of these projects get drained for like 350, 500 million, man. Like insane amounts. Like, I don't know how projects recover from that, honestly. I don't know. Like when we seen was Axie got hit for like 350 million. The Ronin Bridge, it was 500 million. It was like, and I'm just thinking like, I don't know a legacy business in the world that can take a $100 million hit. A $5 million hit will bankrupt any business. And these crypto products are over here taking 350, 400, $500 million hits. And they're just like, oh yeah, we'll get it back.
People are giving them money still, they're like, oh, I got hacked. Okay, well, it probably won't happen to them again. And it's like, it just lost like $300 million. I'm like, well, maybe take a break. Like, maybe it's not the time to invest right now. It's It's crazy to me. And certainly I wouldn't be surprised if people were put off by, I think it was pretty much buys for the whole afternoon. So it bounced out again and came back up. And I don't know what the price is right now, but that's all stuff that's on the DEX that people could check out.
What was price at launch of it?
I think it was around 0.0002 was the initial price, and it shot up to 0.0008. Yep, 3 zeros and a 2, and I think it went up to 3 zeros and an 8. Tapped it for like a second. So,
and then what did it come back down to?
I think it came back down. It touched. It might have touched 003, 004. I can't tell. My chart's not like an exact one, but I think it's as far as the money in it, it's not really down that much from where it was. So I can't tell if it's kind of fully recovered. I got a price, but I can just ask real quick.
Oh no way! That's super cool.
That's what I'll do.
That's so badass, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so the price in US dollars is 0.0006. It hit 0.0008 earlier. So it's
My
it's come
investment's
down a
probably doing
bit,
pretty
but most people, anybody who bought, for the most part,
Well,
for the
anybody that
most
didn't
part,
anybody that didn't buy, honestly, you just made it a better buying opportunity for the people who didn't get in right off the rip. So I don't think it would have been coming back down if anything didn't happen. So honestly, it's just a buying opportunity for everybody that didn't get in, and you learn from your mistakes, man. Glad that you made them, and you know, you're a bigger man than 99% of people who this could have happened to, and we know that because we've seen it. 99% of products that get hacked in this industry, so we've seen it 99,000 times, and hey, they never come on and talk about it and own up to it, and let alone buy out of pocket. So, hey, man, you're all good in my book. I wouldn't even lose any sleep over it. I don't think anybody even cares, honestly. Shit.
I'll tell my wife that later that I bought it, but I think she'll be fine with it. I think she would probably have assumed I would have done that. I'm pretty sure, her knowing me. I think I might have said this before. I have a financial background. I have a professional business background. I'm so glad that I don't have to wear a suit anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. But you do things like that, right? You do things right. And that's more important. Letting people know that something's broken and bad and you're on it is more important than blaming somebody else or saying, oh my God, somebody hacked us. It's like, okay, yeah, they did or didn't in this case, but like, let's say they did. That's still on us, right? I didn't transfer responsibility. They didn't force me to write the code this way. They didn't. And so I think it's like the minimum you can do, right? Because it doesn't make me feel better, but at least I can tell people, like, whether you trust it or not, my goal is to make it a good, smooth experience for everybody. And so I hope that the people who, like I said, the people who were talking to me did not care one bit. Some of them offered to give the KDA for the purchase back, and I refused. Right, I'm not taking that money. But that was the response. Right, a couple of people were mad, and I talked to them all the same as I would. I was not mad at them. I didn't care what they said to me. I felt as bad as they did, and so I didn't mind. Right, that's if you get mad at people when you screw up, that's a big red flag to me. And so I just tried. It was hard because I was in the middle of stuff, but I was trying to be respectful to people who may not have been a little upset. But they did let the price recover. I mean, we're almost back up already. And so as long as there shouldn't be any other drama events, I think we're going to focus on the utility of it now. So there'll be a lot less of contracts that could have any type of concern. If any of the next contracts had a problem, there's no community hit. It's just our treasury, which is, it's not big anyways. And so the point of that is to get that burned down and really just reduce the token supply. So,
well, you want to walk us through this project a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the project is really a couple things, right? And the biggest thing is it is a utility token, technically, with a meme theme. When we thought the heron bird would be cool. I like calling it heron, but we thought it'd be cool. It's really cool for samurai art and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the idea behind it was just to give the community something fun to do. I like building bots. I've got a lot of them ready to go, a lot of code. I've shared a lot of this code. So I know some other people are running bots in the community on Discord and other places with some of this code. And the idea is you can connect your Wallet Connect. If you use Wallet Connect, you can connect that to the bot. So you can authenticate, you can do things like that. And really, the idea behind that is we can do real-time transactions now. So we have a game that will become, I think it's Battle Royale is what I called it. I may change it so I don't run into some copyright thing, but the name doesn't matter. And so you will create a seasonal character. So you'll go and you'll mint a character, and that's kind of like the fee to enter is you could kind of create your own unique, and they'll be themed every season. So the seasons are 21 days. It's double elimination. It's not Wizards Arena, but it's kind of got a feel like that. And Ron and I are close, so I'm sure I model a little bit because I love Wizards Arena and probably just paying respect to them. But that's kind of like the feel is you'll enter. There'll be brackets. And then we'll have, I think it's every 3 days, depending on how many entrants there are, there will be a battle. And it'll be groupings of battles. And so that it tallies out over the 21 days. Mm-hmm. And really the top winners, it's tiered based on how many people compete. The idea for that game was that you could pay in KDA to mint your character or Heron. or potentially Wizards. And what we would do is we would pay out the rewards. We're going to try to pay out the rewards in our token and swap for it. So it should help on both sides of it. And if people go sell, that's okay. But ideally, what we would do then is we would create a stable environment for our token. And it's not going to help it go up or down, but it'll create a really stable, healthy environment for it. So we're circulating it, which causes it to burn, which causes it to kind of go through that cycle. So,
man,
that's the game.
That's really cool. Now, Will, did you say anything about the game having an in-game DEX? Did you say, is that what you guys were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I think the only game that's doing that is Miners of Cadena.
Did you see what like how DeFi Kingdoms had their game structured? Did you ever get to play that game?
I didn't, but I am very familiar with the DEX concept kind of built into your contract layers, so that you can kind of do transactions right through there. I don't think I want to get into that business personally.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering. They did some really cool things that, I mean, I think that's what played a major impact in how high the price of their token got, because they had like an in-game farm almost that you could, I think it was your Jewel token, right? You could take your Jewel token and you would stake it. And then it had a really high APY or API or whatever that it was giving you, but you had to keep it staked for like a really long period of time. But it was like 300, 400, 500%. It was something insane that you were getting. So like everybody that bought into the game basically was taking their tokens and staking them. So it just kept, like, the supply kept getting smaller and smaller. And then you could take Gideon was like addicted to this game. Like, I don't know if you know who Gideon is. He's one of our like OG subscribers, but he was like adamant about this game and he played it every single day. And then you could take, I don't know, I think it was like if you staked for a certain period of time, then you started getting like in-game things, right? It was like you needed like these like tulips or whatever. So if you staked for so long, after 90 days, you got a tulip, and then you could go get like a potion, and you went and put them into a well, and then it would burn both. So they were burning the Jewel token, they were burning this tulip token in the potion, and then they were getting like, like Gen 0 whatevers or whatever. It was really freaking cool. I just thought it was, the main cool part about it was like how they negated the sell pressure by constantly incentivizing people to continuously like stake, use, and burn their tokens. I was wondering if your games had if you guys had anything like that going on.
Yeah, so I don't know that I would call it like traditional staking, but it's not a pay to earn, because that also can run you afoul of rules and stuff. But the concept is to there's not like in-game fees per se. However, as you're creating your own avatar, right, or character, right, that's every season you're creating that. You're shrinking our supply, right? That's the whole thing. Is like you may not be staking, you may not be doing those other things, but you are technically helping us shrink the supply, right? Which may not help price pressure necessarily, like right off the bat, but it does help when there's less supply to sell, right? And so it's easier to create a strong, robust liquidity pool when the supply against it shrinks, right? And so it's a very different way to handle that, but it's a similar concept. It just doesn't give you an active reward. It's more like a passive reward of, you hold your tokens, you play these games, you might win more than you had, right? And that's the cool thing about like Wizards Arena, is you have an opportunity to win more than you put in. And you do that enough, and it kind of turns into, I know Wizards does a staking mechanism. I'm not against it. I just think that for what I'm trying to do, it doesn't make as much sense, because just like those guys, I didn't ask for any money to justify paying out money, if that makes sense. I'm just diluting on everybody by staking. And so I want to be very, very mindful of any dilution that hits this, which is known, right? We know what our supply is. It's not changing. I want it to be very calculated, and I want it to make sense when it, what it's being used for. And definitely think that it's possible, but unlikely. The other thing that is being worked on is like a farm game. And I just love them, right? So you can go farm stuff. So the idea is you could farm and maybe find a KDA or find a Heron, and then, it's either an NFT that you get, or it's an actual like token that you get. And so I thought, if we could build something like that, which we can, I think that would be not maybe the most popular thing, but I think people like just knick-knacking at that stuff and leveling up and getting rewards for doing the things. It's a small fee to play these things, and you get to create your characters that you play with, and I think that's kind of cool. So I think it'll be a little different. I would be lying to you if I said I was planning on like fully jumping into staking. I think that would be reckless of me, because I really don't want to do it, but I think I can do it in different ways where it kind of has the same impact for people.
That's awesome, man. I'm super excited. So what else? Everybody says you got a lot of things working on. What are your top priorities going forward for maybe the next week? Where do you expect to be in a month? And going into the bull run.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep chipping away at the doc site. I'm going to keep chipping away at getting more tutorials ready to go for people. And I know it's just a couple hours of my week, but they're very important to me. And I think they're important to people coming into the ecosystem and staying, for the longevity of it, especially for developers to get a head start and not kind of go through those pain points of learning, at least some of the intricacies of Pact and the setup and all that. So those are the kind of fringe things that are important to me. I did put out a tweet before I jumped on here, and the tweet was just a hashtag, which is hashtag Cadena. And the picture, I don't know if I can I pull this up?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You should be able to share your screen. I might have to, I think it'll add an extra screen. I don't know if it'll do yours right there, but as soon as you go to share it, I should be able to see it on my end, and then I'll be able to throw it up here on screen for you.
All right, let me share this real quick. Share screen. All right.
1 second. Got you. You good?
Okay. So this is it. This is the tweet. I love doing this, right? It's one word and it's a picture, right? So what the hell is this picture? So some people do know what this is because they've seen it and they use it. So what we did was we put together, I had initially put together a small POC for this because I needed the transaction editor, and Squeegee kind of made a whole site around it. And then we're like, people want this, and I'll explain what it is. People really want this, and they keep asking for it. And so it's just like the token. It's we just sat down and we're like, well, then why? I forget, what's the policy on language on here?
I don't give a fuck what you say.
Okay, perfect. That's perfect. So it's why the hell don't we just give it to them? And then you know what we do, Ryan? We just sit and we build this shit. And so here's what it is. It is a token generator. So there's a lot of different settings, or a very simple version of a token generator. You can enable, disable things like cross-chain. Yeah.
By token generator, you mean if I want to launch my own meme project, I can go over here and generate a token? Mm-hmm. No shit.
Yeah, in 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm. And is this going to be incorporated into, if somebody wants to do this, they have to pay a fee in Huron token, or is this just something free that you're making?
So what we're thinking right now, it's perfect. Is what I'd like to be able to do is make our IDE, which is basically a glorified transaction editor. So you can pull in any contracts, edit them if they're yours. You can save the changes, or you can create your own from scratch, or you can create a simple transaction, right? We're just going to make it easy for people to interact with the blockchain, but with any wallet, because if you've ever used Chainweaver, which I know you have, it's like Chainweaver, but in JavaScript and easy. It's in Vue.js. I don't want to butcher this for Squeegee, but it's in Vue.js. And he does phenomenal work on these things. And so, you'll be able to soup to nuts create your tokens. It's got other features too. You'll have the ability to do governance and things like that. It's a contract I have that allows you to secure your contract a little bit better, or easier, so that your community or a big group of people could vote on changes, and no changes happen unless that vote comes back the way you expect it, right? If you say 5 people have to approve it, 5 people have to approve it. And it's an easier way to do multi-sig on chain, through a website, through a phone, wherever you want to do it. And that's the idea there. And really the token generator, and then we're going to add other services. So yes, what we're thinking is we can do the IDE for free, which is cool. We do like free, but we also don't really make any money here. So we're trying to figure out ways that actually make sense. And what I have struggled with tokens is I don't want people to just come in here, click a token, get it set up, put it on the DEX, and then rug everybody, and then do it again in 5 minutes, right? So we are going to put a small fee for generating the tokens, and any of the other features are probably going to be a small fee. We may be able to let people tease some of them, or like kind of dive into it and use maybe like 10% of the tool. But if you want to actually output and write the command, I will have a small fee attached. They're not outrageous that we've talked about so far, but they should prevent like somebody from coming in here and just spamming this all day long. That was a concern of mine, I think, for all of us.
Man, that's freaking, I mean, can't even tell you how, like, this is the stuff that blows my mind that's not already fully built out and functional on Cadena. Because one play like this, you now unleash the power of everybody. And it's like, as much as people are like, yo, like scam coins, rug pulls, but like, how much money did SafeMoon add to the value of Ethereum holders, right? Like everything that happens on an Ethereum blockchain, whether good or bad, if $1 billion goes into a project, that's $1 billion that they had to buy Ethereum and then trade their Ethereum. So once your volume goes up, and if people, this is why I'm so adamant about, not adamant, but like, if people have Cadena and it's doing nothing, put a portion of it in a bot, right? When you're trading these algorithmic bots, Bitscap, if you set your grid up right, your worst case scenario is it DCAs you into Cadena, right? Best case, it continues to run and generates you passive income. But like the more volume you have, the more traders you're going to attract. I mean, when there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of liquidity on a DEX, you really start to attract the bigger players. But no whales are going to come over and set up bots or trade or do anything if there's just no volume on a DEX. They won't even touch your asset. And without volume, the coin dies. So unless their Cadena team's going to put market makers out there, the community has to do it itself. And if we don't have projects and people aren't wanting to spend their Cadena, then price just sits there. Why does everybody's like, oh, Solana's blown up, Solana's blown up? Because fucking everybody's using Solana. You're fucking swapping, you're trading, you're buying meme coins, you're buying shit coins, you're investing in more Solana, you're trading it, you're staking it, you're using Radium, you're playing Star Atlas, like all these games. Like, no shit, Solana's going to keep going up. Ethereum's going to keep going up. They're going to go up because people are using their fucking blockchain. Where over on Cadena, we're all like, I mean, you've seen how fast you raised the money. I mean, shit, we couldn't wait to put our Cadena to work. So, I mean, if people can, you make this easy for people to mint meme coins. You know how many people are going to be coming over to Cadena because they don't have to pay a dev to code out a smart contract? I mean, I know it was on the, I interviewed the #1 NFT artist on Binance Smart Chain, and he was having to, it was like $10,000 for a collection for him to, well, he'd create the art too. So you're getting the artwork, you're getting his name, he'd put his reputation on it, he'd create everything for you. And then he got a percentage of it plus his fee or whatever. I was like, okay, that sounds fair. But like, I couldn't have done it. Like there was so many times I wanted to launch my own NFT project. And I was just like, oh yeah. Like after I started to dive in, I got to teach myself how to code Solidity. Right. And then I was like, oh, F this, I'm going to go learn Pact. Right. Like how hard can it be? Like, it can't be that hard to write like, and create an NFT on Cadena. If they can do it, I can do it. Yeah. That didn't work out too well either. So I'm glad you're building shit, man. We need it. Somebody has to do it. I mean,
That's it. That's all it is. Is like I said this to. I talked to like you had on the show with me. I talked to Mike a lot. I talked to other people Cadena a lot. I talked to a lot of community members. Yes, my relationship is close with them. Somebody has to, right? I mean, we have to work. We all have to work together. It's a common goal. Yep. And I generally like working with a lot of the people that I work with, community or otherwise. And so, for me, it's like everybody's asking for this. Everybody wants it. And I just ask like this simple question of like, does it have to be perfect? Like the contract will be fine. Does our front end have to be like pristine? Do we need to spend 6 months making it perfect? No, we do not. We don't have this tool. So let's get it out there. Let's get people using it. And if people are waiting for a perfect time to launch, that's why I did the Heron launch like I did. I just was sitting there and I'm like, I could do this right now. I could have done it on Sunday. And I'm like, I'm going to wait till tomorrow. And then I'm going to wait till Thursday. And I could have launched it this whole time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. See what happens. I mean, I know how to launch all this stuff. So let's just go do it. It's the whole process. There's a lot of contracts involved. And so we blitzed it out there. I couldn't believe that we sold out in the first day. Like I know we could have raised more. I absolutely know that. And people keep reminding me of that. That was never the purpose. That was not the point. And so don't turn something into a money conversation when for me, I hope that people do well. I really do, right? I want everybody to do well, especially on tokens and stuff. And but for me, it was just like, do we have an active community? It was like an absolute yes, because that was like, holy cow. And then seeing the trading volume, crazy. And so let's say a big player now wants to come from another chain and use their popularity to launch something. Yeah, there's a risk in that, right? Of course there is. But they're going to also bring 10,000 people with them. So let's just give them the goddamn tool to do it. Like if I can bring that here, I can do that. Cadena cannot do that. So like the LLC cannot do that stuff. And they need people in the community. They need workshops. They need groups of devs to come up with these things and execute them, right? And so we're going to just keep working through these things. They're not going to stop. It's going to go as rapid fire as we can make them. I think for something like this, it doesn't require as much, doesn't require like full audits and stuff. Like we have the same contract that everybody's using. We're going to launch that. The tools themselves, we've been using them ourselves forever. And so for me, it's like, this is like an absolute win. We have the means to develop this. We have the skill set to develop this. So why don't we just do it? And I did Harem because people asked for it. So I did it. People are asking for this. So let's do it. And so you'll see a theme. It's not what we want to always build, right? Because we love building some off the wall stuff, right? It's fun for us. We're devs. It's really fun. But that doesn't mean anything if the community doesn't want it. And if the community wants it, as I saw with the Heron token, they'll push it for you. I didn't do anything. I just put out a tweet. Like that was it. And actually some people beat me to it. So, you know, I think the community aspect, the trader aspect of a blockchain is so crucial to the success of it that it's almost like nothing else matters. And I hate to be that way. And I don't like that either, but I'm also a realist, and I realize you have to go to where people are. And if this is what people want, let's give it to them. Yes, there's going to be a fee to it. Hope that stops some people who would have otherwise done it, but it's not going to be so high where people can't scam. And so I think the critical thing now for us as a community is to stop buying junk. Look at what you're buying. Look at who they are, right? Do you trust that if something happened, would they take care of your best interest, or would they take care of themselves? And if somebody wants to sell it, like do 3 pre-sales, run the hell away, especially if they don't tell you what they're using all that money for, right? If they don't have devs and stuff, just be very wary of that stuff. And so, you know, while we'll be able to help people and say, hey, if you lock this in with our governance cap, that's an extra like star that you get on your project that says, we value this. We're not going to be able to rug you. Your liquidity pool is locked like we did. I think that should become the standard. Like, I don't think every project can do it, but why not ask the community, protect that, have a group of people help protect that, and leverage the community. And so even if they rug somehow, right, some other way, at least you know these funds are safe. You can still access them. The team can't rip them out from you. And I think that stuff needs to become more normalized. It centralizes us a little bit as a community, but we've been burnt so hard. Every one of us has been burnt so hard on this. And so we got to do something. And I think doing nothing is just not an option anymore.
Well, man, I can tell you personally that, you know, I didn't invest in Huron Coin, or I just invested in you, man. You know, I believed that you were going to build something and you weren't going to rug us. And, you know, it's very rare that you have the opportunity to put your money into, you know, a scratch off ticket that's, you know, at least not going to, you know, the odds are not stacked in my favor that it's a complete freaking scam and I'm just throwing money at the dark. So I personally invested in you. I know a lot of other people did as well. So, you know, that's saying a lot. I mean, it was the entire community, everybody over here was, I don't know how to explain it. They were so excited that it was you that was building the project and it was your name on it. And then, I mean, you didn't let us down, man. You jumped in there and you took the hit out of your own pocket. And I don't think anybody cares. I know I don't. I mean, maybe I'm not speaking for everybody, but I highly doubt anybody even cares that happened because you made it right. So.
And that's important to me. So, and that's what we'll do. We'll keep doing what we can. And thankfully, thank God most of the projects don't have that level of financial commitment to them where I have to worry about that stuff. A lot of these things will be a nice breather because they're simple contracts. They're simple deploys. Money exchanges hands. That's very simple. We do that all the time. And so it'll be interesting to see. I have a theory that if we make this easier, you'll see at least another 10,000 people come in because somebody's going to see this and say, you know what? Ethereum's gas fees are effing, 20% of everything we do at this point. We're losing money by having our project. Let's just go check out these assholes and see what they're doing. Like I just connect the wallet. I go buy a couple of KDA, whatever this is, and I go connect my wallet and I hit this button. I mean, what? You tell me that one person is going to have that epiphany. They're probably drunk one night, come on and be like, hey, I'm going to go check this out. And then all of a sudden they're tweeting to their followers and they have 500,000 followers and they're not just follower bots, right? And people are like, oh, I want to check out this. I mean, you have instant buy pressure out of it's a spike. It's like a shot. It's an ejection. It could be a bad thing too. I don't know. I'm here to try stuff, right? We're not trying stuff, so let's try stuff. And lots of other projects doing really good things, that are up and coming too. And so I'm super excited. I don't really have any negatives to point out. I wish like everybody, I wish that the price would go up exponentially, and I hope it does. But if that's my only critique as a builder, it's not a big deal. As long as we have liquidity and we have more volume, that's the thing we need to solve now, so that builders will want to come here.
I agree, man. I know that as soon as this gets a little bit more developed, I mean, I'm talking to a couple of YouTubers that I'm friends with. They got at least 2.2 million, and it's constantly growing by the day. I mean, this guy's probably one of the most well-respected names in the conservative space, and he's into crypto. And, I fed him Cadena a couple of times, and it's like I'm trying to onboard some really big players. It's hard when there's nothing built over here, and they're like, oh, you got this great blockchain. And I'm telling them it's the future, guys. Like, trust me, this is going to be the most revolutionary piece of blockchain technology outside of Bitcoin that's ever existed. And you should pay attention to this one. And then, somebody got in the live chat the other night and was like, dude, there's no greatest blockchain in the world with no TVL. And I'm like, what? And I was like, what's this guy talking about? And I jumped over there and I looked and I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, we got Pepe coin and dog with a hat with $1 billion market cap, and we don't have $3 million of TVL on Cadena. I mean, that has to change immediately and should be a really top priority. The Cadena team, in my personal opinion, is like, if these are the tools that are going to bring people into Cadena, like what is the holdup with them? Like, why are people taking so long? Well, you're not part of the team. I forget. It just seems to me like we should be giving out grants to as many people as we can. I suggested the idea, if there's devs on the Cadena team that are willing to go get on other podcasts, they should be giving out, bonuses to the devs. If you want to work your 8 hours at Cadena and then you want to go get on a podcast, cool, we'll give you a bonus to go get on these podcasts and talk about Cadena, right? Don't talk about price or whatever rules that they have to be, and then, at the end of the week or the month, you do 4 shows, cool, we'll give you 4 bonuses. You want to do 10 shows, we'll give you 10 bonuses. But the more shows that you can get on, like, let's get people out there talking about Cadena. I think Charles Hodgkins had a great strategy. He recorded a video once a day, and I think it was Monday through Friday, coming from the sunny south side of California, and he would talk about random shit, politics, whatever. Like, it wasn't always necessarily about Cardano, but it was something that the community looked forward to, and every day. And he built a 2 million follower audience on his personal YouTube channel, which was like, when things needed to get upgraded or changed, or they had an announcement, like, they didn't have to go anywhere else, right? Like, it was right there, and it just seems like there's just a few little things that I think that if they implemented, it would make the world a difference. And then just Near has a strategy where they raised a bunch of capital, and they ended up, I think it was either 10 project they picked. They wanted the absolute, like, most elite, and they did some hackathon or something like that, where they basically were like survival of the fittest thing. And then they chose 10 projects to give $100 million to and fully back and support. And I was just like, my gosh. And then you look at Solana, which is the exact opposite. Like, they were giving out grants to anybody. And then I interviewed the Avalanche team, and Avalanche was doing 7-day turnaround on grant approval. Harmony was doing 3-day turnaround. And you get up to a $20,000 grant in 3 days. Bring your project, bring your proposal. Crazy. They were instantly getting you down. They had a whole team backing it. And it's like, that's your competition, Cadena. So I know that, they're playing this as a 10-year play, but what builds the community is price. Honestly, it's the number one thing. So you have to figure out how to, kind of play that game a little bit, or at least act like you're trying to play that game, because in my personal opinion, this is the time where you have, like, we're not even at Google Trends maxed out. Like, we are so far away from actually being in like a traditional crypto bull run where everybody's in and your grandma's sending you text messages asking if she could buy Bitcoin kind of thing. But these are the people that are here right now, most of them that stuck through the bear market, or they're people that have caught on quick enough to be like, okay, this is something important. I want to learn more about it. these are the people right here, right now in your community that are going to be your shill team. They are going to be the people that are taking over Twitter and making your, your hashtags trend every time something exciting happens. And then they're also going to be the people that are going to be coaching all of the new people that come into the space. So, how many people are over in Solana that are like us over here in KDA, that would love to come to a different blockchain and get in early and be part of that community and help onboard more people into Kadena? It's like, it just seems to me like this is the time that we should be trying to do everything that we can to onboard as many people into the system. And, I don't know if they're doing it. You're the only one I talked to, and you and Steve. So it seems like we should have more than $2 million in TVL. That kind of makes me wonder, where are all these projects at that we've been, where are the grants, where are the ecos at? What's going on? How many projects are building on Kadena right now?
There's quite a few, but it's interesting because there's projects coming. There's projects that are kind of coming back now that the market's kind of heating up. And then there's some of us who've been here through the whole bear market, right? And so got to learn a lot. But it's just been a smaller community. Obviously, the TVL took a hit, and so the question, I think, is how long until we have a native stablecoin? And I know it's coming soon, but the excitement's going to come from that next announcement, right? And people are going to start talking about Kadena and then string those together. And I know Mike knows this, right? He's done marketing long enough. And so I'm excited for that, right? I mean, personally, I think that's going to be the signal that stuff's going to start heating up, because once you have stablecoins, you can build a robust DeFi environment, right? And without that, I don't know how you can. And so I don't think you're going to get like a crazy I think we could probably double what we have if we really wanted to, if we could get a couple projects to launch like we did, not necessarily the same way, but like have a similar flow to it, get some rewards for people that are not just going to crush the price of it, right? And do those things and build trust and build these communities. I'm not a community builder. So if somebody's a community builder out there, they can probably do a better job of it. I have lucky that a lot of community members step up and help. I don't have to ask. They just step up and help. And they know that's a weakness, right? Because I don't have time to do all that stuff. And so if we want the TVL to come, I think we have to have probably, in my opinion, a game that does some type of play to earn with some type of locked funds, like a big pool of locked funds. I think that's probably the only way right now you're going to get that. But I hope I'm wrong. But, until we have the DEXs upgraded at some point where they support a stablecoin, they support, or maybe not even the DEX, but somebody supports lending, right? Hopefully the DEXs. And, then you're going to see an uptake, but I don't know when that is. The sooner the better, obviously. But those are very, very, very critical components, even more than what we're doing. They require so much scrutiny, so much from an audit standpoint, so much testing. So even when we get that announcement, I hope it takes a little bit of time, because I don't want another situation like Lago to hit us. I don't want what happened to us to hit us. And ours was fine, because ours was tiny and it was easy to recover from. But we can't recover. It's going to be very difficult to recover from a $10 million hit, right, on this chain, on a lot of chains. And so I think they got the right people doing it, and they're engaging with a lot of different folks. And I'm looking forward to that. And I think that's where we're going to see that spike. And I think that the second those announcements start going, the price should go up in anticipation for that. I just don't know how it doesn't. If it doesn't, the crypto gods just really don't believe in us or something.
So let me ask you this. We know nothing's decentralized in crypto, right? Like there's absolutely always somebody controlling in outside of Bitcoin, right? So why aren't they working with Coin Metro, who absolutely loves Kadena? Why can't Coin Metro lock, you deposit USDT, and then we just create a KUSDT on Kadena? Hell, call it Coin Metro stable, whatever. I don't care. Like just, why aren't we going just with a centralized party and just saying like, hey, let's just get our Bitcoin. If they want to interact with Bitcoin over here, let's just create one and use a centralized party like Flux or Coin Metro. Wouldn't that seem like that would make this seem so easy, right? We want to build this destabilized bridge or decentralized bridge, but it's not really ever decentralized. It's all fucking controlled by a team. So like, I'm just so confused on why we're not working with a centralized party. And it seems like Tether would want to be all about this, considering you can, utilize gas stations on Kadena and in theory, make Tether that coin of Kadena. It seems like Tether is the way to go, man. I just despise USDC. So it's like, I hope that somebody brings Tether over to Cadena.
I am also a fan. I know they're always like one bad tweet away from crashing, right? That always seems to be what people try to promote out there. And maybe, look, shit, we don't know, right? We really don't. I just think at some point you got to say they're not a goddamn rug if they've made it this far. Like at some point you have to say, like, you can't always say the house is on fire if the house is never on fire, right? It's on fire now. And you're like, oh shit, it's not on fire, right? That's how I view USDT. I find USDC is easier to transact with because it's very controllable, right? Which is good and bad, right? If you're on a list, it's probably bad. If you're not on a list, it's probably fine. It's probably not hard to get on a list in some countries these days, but that aside, I mean, having USDC and USDT is probably not necessary, but it would be nice to see that, right? It would be nice to see that somebody wants to invest their time in building that out and bringing that here. And what is Zelcore has? Is that ZUSDT? Is that what they have? Like their stable that they bring on, so you can mint ZUSDT. That's like an entry. That's a good start for what we're trying to do. And
you can mint a stablecoin in Zelcore now.
Yeah.
What, you mint it with Flux?
Yeah, it's on. No, I think you can. Well, I'm sure you could do it with Flux, but I think you could do it natively with KDA. I think you have to use Zelcore though, and it's supported on EchoSwap. I assume it's on KDS too. I don't know if there's anything unique. I know Echo helped them bring it here. I don't know what the level of involvement was, but that was kind of like the entryway to get them over here. And so, yeah, you can do that in the wallet today. I don't use Zelcore a lot. I think I used to love it. They have had a few problems that I'm hoping one of these days to be able to sit down with their engineers and explain kind of what's going on and how we can make it a little more robust for our chain, just because things have changed.
Yep.
So I'd like
Dan
to
said
see
he was
all of them.
he was really he heard your interview and like they went and like he's like we didn't even know that he's like they said that they had like a proposal, like if there's supposed to be upgrades to the nodes or whatever, that you guys are supposed to fill out something and give them like 2 weeks notice. And he's like, our team didn't get the notice, so like we didn't know that. It was the first time that we heard that there was a change or something that we needed to do on our end was right then and there. I was like, okay, so maybe
I'll reach out to him then. I mean,
I know he really likes you guys, so I would reach out to Dan. He's, one of the easiest guys to get a hold of, and he's, Johnny on the spot. Now, devs that do the actual coding and stuff like that, maybe that might be a little harder, but I'm sure Dan would love to sit down and talk with you, especially if you have ideas and ways for them to make Zelcore better, because it's one of my favorite crypto wallets. I just like putting my crypto somewhere where I feel like it's like I'm mentally, like I can, I'm not worried about Flux walking away tomorrow or disappearing or having any issues with it. So, issues, I shouldn't say. I mean, I have issues all the time with Zelcore trying to do things in that, but a lot of it was my own, not realizing that if I'm using, I sent USDT there and it arrived in my wallet, it was just fine. And then I went to go send it and I was like, I can't get this out of my wallet. What the hell is going on? Like I was trying a bunch of different things, trying to increase my gas prices. And it was because I didn't have any fucking Tron in my wallet. I was like, oh, idiot, Then I went to go I sent Flux. So I was buying Flux BNB on Binance. And when I withdrew it, the only way I could withdraw it was with the Flux BNB address, right? So then I withdrew the Flux there, and then I was trying to move it or do something with it, and I couldn't fucking send it. And I was like, gosh damn it. Oh, I didn't have a BNB in my wallet. I was like, oh, man. When you're not doing this all the time every day, it's like, and you just go to use it once in a great while, it's like you take a while to figure out why it was your fault. It was my fault. I'm just being an idiot. So, but other than that, it seems to work most of the time. What's the issues on your end? Is it just connecting?
So the wallet itself is great. I think the issue is that it needs to support the newest QuickSign API, which I think just maybe got missed somewhere, or something in there, right? And so that's what I've seen the problem with a lot of different projects being able to use it. Stability has been a problem, but I think lately it's been a lot better. I think they made some changes and it's been a lot better. And I'm very careful because I love Flux. I don't know. I've always shared this. Like if I didn't love Cadena, I didn't love Flux, and there's a couple other chains. I love Bitcoin. Like it's my favorite, right? There's nothing else like it. I don't care if it's the slowest or the most expensive. I don't care about any of that. It's different. It started a movement, right, that we get to be in. And there's something really cool about that history. And so now we have other chains that are not necessarily mimicking it, Some are, right, but they just have newer features, right, that some people on Bitcoin probably wish they had, but it's not the point of it, right? They kept it true as much as they could, right? And I probably get thrashed for that, but that's like, with Flux, it's like I mined it forever. I still have some mining nodes on there, and it's just because I always believed in the project. I know they took a big hit for a while, but I think this market, I think they're going to come back really, really strong. And I've always loved interacting with their team members. They've always been super helpful. And I just, I've always been kind of cautious. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm picking on them because I'm absolutely not. But everybody knows, like, if there's an issue, let's just work it out and let's get it solved. And I'll, maybe next week I'll reach out to those guys and see if Dan can point me to who might I need to talk to, and at least get a conversation and show them what's going on. Because I can give them a site to test it on and say, this is exactly what's happening. Here's what I think is going on, which I already pretty much know what's going on. And I think they'll be able to solve it pretty quick if they want to.
Man, that's awesome, man. So, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover? Talk about this project. We got about 15 minutes left, give or take. So I'd like to go over anything else that you'd like to cover or dive into, if there's any other topics or other projects that you're looking into.
Yeah. So the other thing on Heron is, because it's a community project, right? So I don't know if have you used Swarms? Have you used that at all? You checked it out?
No, I have not. You want to show us?
Okay. Yeah. Let me
and two, don't let me forget. I want to hear about SpireKey, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
If you could just give me a little breakdown on what that is, how it works. I'm very excited to hear more about this.
So the SpireKey wallet, while I'm pulling this up, and I'll share it in a second. The SpireKey wallet is basically a web wallet, and it's backed by a smart contract, and so it's really cool. It's really kind of like a flexible tool for people that doesn't require you to have a crypto wallet, right? So you can sign with your fingerprint, you can sign with your face, you can sign with a passcode, right? So you're using your device's encryption to kind of secure that. And it's really cool because I can sign from my computer, I can sign from my phone. I actually bound it to my Chrome profile. Not that I trust them at all, right? But it's cool because it just goes, you can move things between devices so easily and get things set up and use like a similar feel. Where I also did use my fingerprint just because I wanted to try it. But essentially, it's really simple. You create a transaction like you normally would, but instead of going and connecting a wallet and doing all those things, the SpireKey wallet is, you click the connect, you biometric, and you're in. And you are just as simple to sign something. You can read what's going on and sign it, and voila, you're done. It's a really cool take on.
Where's the biometric data being stored at?
I think it's hashed within the wallet somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's like a reference in the contract to it, but it didn't mean anything unless you know exactly what it is.
Yep.
So I don't know if you can
share your screen.
Share my screen real quick.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh no, I gotta unshare. Hold on.
Unshare that one.
Let me stop. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta share something else. I'm just gonna share the screen and hope nothing naughty pops up, because you know how people are.
You good? Good for me to share it for everybody else?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So this is our Heron bot, and you can see it's like you can pull prices from basically all the tokens. And I think the one they were telling me today, the mock one's not in here. I suspect that's what's supposed to be in here. So I'll go and fix that. But you can see I added the MAGA one because it was, I just happened to know their contract. I have to add the CFLY as well. But essentially what it does is after a couple hours, you'll have good, you'll start the chart period. And that's kind of a cool little thing. So the idea is to just get our projects, make it easy to look them up. But here's the thing that I think is going to be popular, at least for this, is it's meant to, and I did disable some things right now, so there was actually more options, but it's meant to like be an entry. If you want to check out other projects, right, you can come in here and check out another project. If you want to see if you got skellies, you can do it. If you connect your wallet, you can check. If you want to see if you got kitties, you can check. You can do things with Wizards Arena. If you want to buy one, you can actually go in here and buy a wizard. Yeah. So if your wallet's connected, you can buy a wizard from here. So I think it shows you the picture. Yeah. So it's not perfect, right? Because we're running it from a bot, but like I'll keep playing with this to see how well I can do with it. But if you want to go find like, whoa, what's this one? You know, can I buy it? You know, so it's kind of a cool, cool little thing to have with the other projects. And the idea is, I'm kind of leery to show, but I think just a couple things here. So yeah, so this will be our contest. We'll be able to have votes here soon, and it's going to check how much Heron you have, and it's going to just apply. You can have 1 million or 10 million. You're going to have one vote. So I think one vote is good, and then there's like a minimum balance you have to have. So you can't spin up like 1 million accounts and have like a small amount. You have to have some kind of a minimum. But let me just give this back. So that's what this is going to do. The other thing, so Swarms is, I don't have my wallet connected right now, and I don't know that I want to connect it on here, but essentially when you want to connect your wallet, you just do this QR code, and then you're connected. And then you can do things, there's more options that show up in here. And so it's kind of cool. It's like a way to highlight projects in our community, and you can see some of those projects technically compete with exactly what I'm doing, but I don't care about, like, that doesn't mean anything to me. If we have a robust community, then we can fight over them, right? But for now, let's work together to build up the, and not just treat everybody like scraps. Let's, Yep. Yeah, so these will be the initial things you'll be able to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, the games that they bring, players from your games will be playing other games and vice versa. And it's like you're just constantly attracting and bringing in more people when everybody's kind of collaboratively working together. Now, question, how hard would it be, like I seen you pulled up price there. How hard would it be to code in a button that generated an image of that would allow you to tweet it out to Twitter? Like I'm looking for something that like, everybody wants to share shit about Kadena when it's trending. It seems like if you could get a chart up and then a way to like one click shoot it over to X and like constantly everybody in the community could be blasting out shit on X. I've always wanted that for Kadena, but I always was like, man, it's probably way too big of an ask, but now I found you, so.
What if you had like a simple website, like very simple, like I do like POCs on streams in like an hour or two, right? It's just fun to me. And I haven't done one for a while, so I'm kind of due, but we've been so busy I haven't had time to mess around. However, if we did what if we did like a panel page where you could like have like the KDA price, you could have the not altcoins, but essentially like the Kish, the Wiza, KDX, all those things. And then you could say, all right, I want this type of chart, and it's formatted for social media. So you could be like, I think there's a chart pack that's made for Twitter, for example. And so you could pick Twitter, and then we have share buttons already to share like our NFTs that you make. You can share those to Twitter. So I don't know that a lot of people would do that, but some people like that. And I think if you wanted something like that, we have all the data, and that's the hardest part, is getting all the data. And so if we need to use it in a way that we're not using it, that's what I like doing. So if you actually saw the value in that, there's a chance I'll probably build it, not today, not tomorrow, but probably in the near future sometimes I find like 4 hours and I just go and have a little bit of fun. And then everybody around me that works with me is just like, what did you just do? You just created a big project for us. And I'm like, no, it's done. They're like, it looks terrible. I'm like, you're right. So you should probably make it look pretty. It's just fun we have, right? Because I can code it, but I can't make it look pretty. And that's what Squeegee does such a phenomenal job on that stuff. I'm so happy to work with him. So that's maybe, I don't think that ask is too tall. I think I'll probably consider that, because I think Ron probably would probably like something like that too.
Yeah, it's I always see the people in like my Telegrams, they'll always be sharing like it'll be like their trade, like they're on MEX Exchange, right? And it has the MEX Exchange logo, and then it's like this really just simple chart that says plus 130%, so like when Kadena's pumping, it's like, you can go over the last like 30 days, 7 days, and it just gives you like a perfect, like sometimes I just want something simple that I could just tweet out, and just kind of, gas up the community and stuff. I think it'd be really cool. I think people would use it,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I actually wonder if it makes more sense to use like Echo Struts that they just kind of came out with, and just have them add the button. I think that actually might be better, because then it's already a common place that we all go, and it's a pretty easy conversation. And the nice thing is all their code's open source. So if I wanted, one of these days I'm going to fork something of theirs and edit it. But If I wanted to give them like, hey, you guys could add this button, right? You can share to Twitter, share to wherever, and whatever service you want. But I think that might be a cool little idea. I think that might be a fun one to talk to them about.
I was thinking too, for, you know, I mean, if you had that on another page on your Heroes website, right? And then this becomes a thing that everybody in the Kadena community is using. You just became, or Heroes website just became the go-to place to drive all of this free advertising right to your site, whether they want to buy the token or play the game or not. But I'm going to go there constantly. I mean, I'll be pulling it up in all my live streams and constantly promoting it if it was on your website. I mean, I don't care where you put it, but I mean, I would love to promote your stuff directly too. So I just think it's a really good free marketing tool that I've recommended it to the CatX team a long time ago, back when they were still CatX. But I just think anything that you can do to drive traffic to your site for free that makes people want to go to your site to use it because it's a tool. You know, I've been dying for like the ultimate block explorer. I think that was like my first ask that I ever asked the Kadena team for, was like this just magnificent block explorer. Like I don't know if what is it, mempool.space on Bitcoin. I don't know if you ever seen their mempool one. It's fucking,
oh my, yeah, it's
so fucking cool. I mean, Bitcoin's been around 15 years, so they got a lot more cool shit on it. But I think that's the only things like that people like you're constantly losing is a block explorer. And then what else? I think that's really it that everybody constantly uses on a daily basis. And then statistic websites where you're tracking stuff. And you know, I think whoever makes the coin glass of eventually Kadena will be at that level where you're like, okay, yeah, we want, you know, something like a coin glass where you're tracking every transaction. I mean, just unlimited amounts of data on coin glass for Bitcoin. People pay $750 a month to have access to that data. $750 a month, and that was back
for a lot of them.
Oh yeah, they're professional traders. I mean, when you have that much data and you're smart as somebody like Steve, and you can put that into an algorithm and, you know, and see where things are going ahead of time, and you can make a lot of money. But so tell everybody where they can follow you at. Where can they follow your projects? I know I got all the links down in the description as well. If you guys are watching this and you guys would like to follow Amir, please consider it. He's over on X, Twitter. Where else you at?
So I'm on YouTube at Kadena Art. Just kind of consolidated all the videos on there. We live out on Telegram, Discord. I'm on there like 24/7. So if people need anything, pretty much all my waking hours, I try to respond when it makes sense, if I can. And that's pretty much it. I'm on Twitter a lot. That's Amir Dapple, DAPL. And we've got the Heron Heroes KDA that just came online, which has got a bunch of followers already, and Kadena Art, which is popular. A lot of people DM me on there for NFT projects and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool.
And sorry, I don't know if you already said this or not. When were you expecting for people to be able to play this game? What is your guys' official date that you guys are aiming for people to be interacting, playing with games and stuff like that?
Yep. I want to be able to launch the first season at the beginning of a month. So my goal is to have it up by April 1st. I don't know if I will. I lost a couple days with some of these, with some of this stuff that I wasn't anticipating, but I'm hoping, as long as everything keeps progressing and nothing else comes up, I'm hoping that I'll have the first game out by April 1st. And I've got another dev working on our web game, so I'm hoping that they kind of 1 month, and then the next month I'd like to have like that 30-day gap at least. So if there's any issues.
Man, well, keep up the great work, buddy. It's an honor to have you back on the show. We're going to have Amir back over here every Thursday night, or as long as he can join us and make it on a Thursday night. I know you got kids and a lot going on, but Thursday nights will be yours, and you're welcome. And I think next time maybe we'll have Steve from KDA Bet. He was going to join us tonight, but I forgot to text him right in the beginning, and then it was like we were an hour and into it, and you had some stuff going on, so I figured, well, maybe this wasn't the best night to bring somebody else on to shoot the shit. But we'll get Steve on here, and we can just shoot the shit and talk Kadena every Thursday night. So if you guys are into Kadena ecosystem, you guys want to learn more about what's going on, please swing over here. Amir, thank you so much for stopping by the channel tonight. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.
God bless. All right, folks, that is a wrap over here on the Ryan Matta Show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you guys are over watching on YouTube, please consider the link to the Rumble channel should be pinned right up there at the top of the live chat. We're going to be trying to drive a lot of this traffic back over to Rumble. We got a jam-packed house over here. Everybody's over here. We got Front Row, Zefil over here. Is that Gremlin in the house? We got Ozza, Front Row, Apple Guy over here. Swing over to this live chat. It's so much more fun in these live streams when you get everybody in one location, because it's hard for me to like bounce between. And then also when we're doing coin calls and stuff like that, it's so much easier for me to focus on just one chat. For some reason, Restream and the softwares that we use, they'll pull live chats from everywhere, but they won't pull them from Rumble. And it's probably being done on purpose because anytime a new platform rolls out, whether it's Twitch or whatever, I mean, these platforms are like Johnny on the spot to make those integrations. And it's like they're just purposely not doing it for Rumble for some odd reason. But so swing over here on Rumble. They're the free speech capital of the internet. They're fighting for our freedom. If it wasn't for places like Rumble and Twitter, we would be, I mean, you hear people like Joe Rogan say it. If Elon didn't buy Twitter, we would be in a very, very dark place right now. And it's gonna get a lot darker, folks. That's why I'm so adamant about teaching people. If you guys aren't into politics, you guys know I do a show over on LFA TV every day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys really want to, sometimes I say just don't do it because it's like once you start going down that rabbit hole, it's like you really see how evil our government is and what's going on here, and it's bad, man. That's why I'm so adamant about, like, if you got an extra house, you got a property, you got real estate, what's coming is going to be so bad this summer. And I don't mean to scare you guys, but you should be getting right with God. You should be getting right with your bank accounts. You should be trying to get them all into Bitcoin. You got an extra car. Put it this way, you got everything that if shit hits the fan, and we're just getting reports, my LFA team is blowing up right now. There's some major security breach, cybersecurity breach in the healthcare industry that's going on right now. Doctors talking about medications being on back order, like life-saving medications. What else is going on? We're setting our country up to be in a really, really bad position. It's really bad. And you think about when, shit goes south, it happens overnight, guys. We're this close to being a third world country. What you're seeing on the news is a lie. It's all fake and gay, as they say. And I don't know. I would just be light. I'm super light, right? This summer I moved back in with my parents for like 2 months actually it's about 4 months while I was building this place. And, just anything that you can do to save money. I completely downgraded. I bought this place cash. If I, have to leave it behind, then I have to leave it behind. It's just really that simple, but things are going to get bad here, guys. It's not if, it's more so when. Every option and avenue they've had to try to make it so Trump can't be president is fully exhausted. They've lost control of the media. They're trying to take over Twitter or TikTok. They forced the sale of TikTok. And if you didn't see, what's his name, Ian Carroll on Twitter, watch his video about the people that are trying to buy TikTok. It's bad. Like, these people aren't here. They didn't censor TikTok because it had anything to do with China. They shut down TikTok because it had everything to do with Israel and America, and it's bad. They let 50 million people in this country. So when you see the news and they tell you that, they left 10 or 15, it's not, man. I've been down there. I watched 4 million come over. I watched 4 million come through Mexico myself, right? I mean, it's bad. And then what's going on with the fact that we import like about 80% of things that we consume consistently, whether that's produce, food, medicine, we import about 80%, and every shipping route is being destroyed. The farmers are no longer producing around the world. I think they've shut down like 2,500 something farms in America already. Our government's waging war on the citizens and on Americans. So, I would just like look at what's happening in Florida. I keep tweeting about it, right? Like, how's your beachfront real estate doing in Florida when we have cannibal Haitian gangs flooding over by the boatload? And now they want to process them and they want to force Florida to take these people. It's unbelievable, guys. So buy guns, buy ammo, lots of them, as often as you can. If shit went south here, does Cadena survive, right? In the United States, super early project. If we went into like a civil war, Bitcoin's not going anywhere. It's global. It's like the Bible, right? No matter how many versions of it you burn, you're never getting rid of the Bible. Why? Because it's so decentralized. It's the most decentralized book in the world. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. But all these other coins, I mean, in a drop of a hat. I mean, if we got invaded and the Civil War started out and they took out Stu, they took out half the Cadena team, I mean, it would be dead overnight. So keep those things in mind. As much as we want to pretend like everything's going to be fine in this country, should really understand what's actually going on around this country. So God bless you guys. Be safe out there, guys. Keep stacking that Cadena Bitcoin. Keep yourself safe. Let your friends and family know what's going on, and pray I'm wrong. Pray I'm wrong, because all it's going to take is one cyber attack or the collapse of the dollar. I don't know. A cyber attack collapsed the dollar, but when you've been in this, I mean, not that I've been in politics for a very long time, but I'm traveling the country this summer, and I've been down to the border about 5 times, been down to the Arizona border, been down to the California border, and you're seeing what's happening to our country firsthand, and it's bad. And these are not good people. These are the most evil, vindictive. I mean, they're countries from all around the world are dumping out prisons, and people can't leave China, right? There's a firewall for one, but number two, you can't even leave your town if you don't have like a prestige social credit score. There's no getting out of China, really. I mean, very few people are able to get out of China, and yet now we have a lot coming in here. Hernando, my man, said he's bought me another Glock. Good for you, Hernando. Very, very good. What do you do with BTC and no internet? The internet's not going anywhere. I mean, we might not have access to it here for a period of time, but I mean, I got Starlink. I'm watching migrants in the middle of the Panama jungle. I'm talking like the Colombian jungle. It's like 30 miles deep into the jungle, full service, because they got Starlink. Starlink, I mean, you're in Ukraine, you're in the war in Russia. I mean, Starlink's global. So, I mean, if they take out Elon Musk and Starlink, maybe. I don't see it happening. I don't. But, you know, at that time, you're not really worried about your Bitcoin. You're worried about your gun. And you're just praying that, you know, when shit settles down and the dust settles, that your Bitcoin is going to be there, because it's so decentralized. I mean, they'd have to take out the power grid in the entire country. And then not just that, they'd have to take it out on solar power too. So like they might be able to hit your grid, but do you know how many grids are up and running with solar power? So how many of these mining farms are deep underground, and these bunkers super deep underground because it's nice and cool under there, and they have ventilation systems. So even an EMP attack probably wouldn't take out some of these farms that are deep underground, these mining farms. So at that point, you're just trying to protect your wealth. It's not even about that. I don't think it's going to be like necessarily the internet going down. And it doesn't have to go down for a long period of time. That's the crazy part about it, right? There's a new report showing out that like when you cut people off from food, especially in major cities, within 3 days, it's a full out, we're talking like cannibalism style violence. And within 7 days, your people are willing to eat each other to survive. So just, I mean, you know, your neighbors, you should really get to know your neighbors. Go cook some brownies and take them to your local police officers, because those law enforcement officers are most likely going to be the first ones that are coming after you and your crypto. So be safe out there, guys. God bless you.
Run.